1994, my guest burst upon the television screen and took the world by storm. No one had ever seen an anchor like that. He sings, dances, acts and mimics. No one has ever equaled him either. But what is he himself actually like? Ah, well, let's see if he tells us as I introduce you to Javed Jafferi. Welcome to the program, Javed.
Thank you, Karan.
Your fans say that you're the best mimic in the country. Would you disagree?
भाई करण, तुमसे तो मैं डिसएग्री कर ही नहीं सकता. इस प्रोग्राम को फेस टू फेस नहीं बेस टू बेस होना चाहिए.
In fact, they also say that that imitation of Amrish Puri is really the classic one. Is that a sort of trademark for you?
I don't know, man. I just do my thing. I don't think about these things. There are a lot of trademarks. I do Chinese, Japanese, African, lots of other things. You go to China, you go to Hong Kong, any of these people selling these wares on the street.
Ah, you come here, I give you a good price, you know, $10. You want white color, red color, I give you for good price, you know, okay.
No, that's not.
No, Glen Market, no good, my friend, I give you good price, come here. Okay, I give you $5, I talk to my brother, you know, I give you $5 only.
And then in the Chinese movies, which have this typical dubbed version, which goes, Americanized accent, you go,
you talking to me, you bastard, get him. Yeah, hi.
So these kind of, you know, these are things which you observe and you just gain out. There are Japanese guys who keep going, "Hai Toshiro, Mishimaito, Tayo, Chijang Dojugono, Hayo Sagedo, Oraka Sagadio, Ishangado, I love you. Will you marry me? Ida." I mean, Africans, West Africans, who go off on another trip, which is like, you know. Please, my friend Karan, could you tell me where I could purchase a television? I was probably looking at the color of the television. I am confused. I am defeated. You probably, you know.
But how have you acquired so many accents? I mean, have you worked on it? Have you got an ear that just picks them up?
Yeah. I don't know, probably it's just been kind of a sense of observation. It's like could say a hobby, but it developed into something. I just looked, observed, and picked something
I gather it developed very early. You were in college when you first started doing mimicry.
A bit in school, towards the ending, probably 9th or 10th standard. And college kind of picked up because there I was on stage. And I was in this college which kind of, you know, performers dread being in front of an audience like this. They just rip you apart and throw you out. So the first day I came on stage and I started doing something and they go, "Hey, chale, foot, hey, nikal, hey." And you say something and they come up with something wisecrack and you go like, "Look, if you want to listen, otherwise go out." Huh? That's the last thing you should say to these people because then, yeah. Then slowly afterwards, you know, like, okay, kya bola aapne? Ek baar phir se bolenge, I take the mic and I put it there. This is how I broke into them. Put the mic there. So that guy said something, "Hey, chalna, hey, dinkar, chal, foot yahan se." I said, "Okay, let me play back what he just said." And wow. It's a college joke. I mean, it's stupid. You know, it's like, so then, you know, you start catching on. So you come up with a pretty girl on stage and say, "Hey, arey, kya hai? Solid sataki, hatata." Like, you know, holding the girl and getting on stage. And then you say like, "Sorry, boss, meko nahi malum tha aapki behan hai." So these little things break the ice with the audience. And then now, kind of, that kind of audience which I stood there for 5 or 6 years in my college and I faced, I think that got rid of all my inhibitions, being on stage, being able to say things, getting things across. And of course, I learned a lot listening to people like Moin Akhtar from Pakistan. Those little cassettes used to come way back. And I just picked it up. I mean, I know.
So partly picked up, partly self-taught, partly actually learnt by a sort of process of learning by fire.
Yeah, kind of.
How much, though, did you learn from your father, the great comedian Jagdeep?
See, a lot of it kind of traveled down in the genes. Sometimes the genes fade with a lot of wash. But, you know, I suppose watching him since a kid, I picked up a lot of things. It just somehow is there in the subconscious. So maybe some things which I do with my hands or some accents which I take up are picked up from there or initiated from there. But otherwise, I would not say because I think it's something which developed. He was never into dance. He had a good sense of music, but I picked that up because it was a hobby of mine. And the rest, I think definitely there is some genetic thing.
In fact, as you say, dance was the first thing you did. And it all started, I believe, in school where you were quite famous for your solo performances. What sort of dance was it in those days?
Solo tha, main so jata tha. No, it's basically the whole thing came up with the first thing I saw. I used to like dancing, of course. There was a hustle going on. Boney M, ABBA, those were the music we grew up on. And my friends, they had some cousins who used to have some beat groups. Used to play Savage Gardens, kind of name it. So, like playing with them, and all my friend Peter, all the Goanese friends which I had. And we used to have this roof garden, McDonald's, we used to have the Christian weddings out there. So we used to love, what we used to do is in the group, we used to go and check out which is the band playing today. Okay, interesting band. So we used to go home, change our clothes, and go there, dance, have a good time. We didn't go there for the food or whatever, but we went there to dance, because otherwise we are not permitted to go out, and these are the only early evening parties which you could go and dance at, because late night discos or parties were not allowed. So we used to go, just great crash into somebody's wedding, and when they come to meet you, they think you're from the bride side, they think from the bride side, and okay, hello, and used to avoid that, and just have a good time and walk off by about 9:30, 10 in the night. So that was
So pranks were something that you were really very strong on.
Yeah, to be frank, yeah.
Your friend said that when you were a teenager, you, your brothers, and two other boys in the building would stand under the stairs looking upwards. What were you looking at?
Mini skirts. No, there was this one lady who used to wear really, that was the time, I think 60s, late 60s. And I was like about 6, 8, and the other two brothers were 2 years elder to me. And they used to we used to play marbles on the street, and whenever this lady used to come up and she'd say, yeah, so marbles, losing our marbles, and suddenly, so those little things, and they used to actually make
you acquired a taste for the good things of life when you were pretty young.
Well, if you call them the good things, maybe I had the taste, but then, yeah, okay.
In fact, there was a particular set of plays that you did when you were in college. There was one, I believe, where you were required to use fireworks for special effects. You chose to use a bomb instead.
No. In college, I was the dramatic secretary, and I was very dramatic. I used to always do the fashion shows, and we were the first people to kind of pioneer them in college levels, having fashion shows on stage. So the last 45 minutes were reserved for me and whatever I did. And we were doing the Thriller, the Michael Jackson business. So we wanted a smoke effect in the beginning. And one of the friends who was in the group, his brother was working on the ship, and he said, okay, I'll get you a little smoke bomb. So he got me, and he got a really heavy duty one. We didn't know what it's all about. So curtain closed, people ready, boom, opened it. And the whole auditorium was full of red smoke, and people thought it was fire. And there was this septuagenarian board of directors who were sitting there, and Hindi gentleman, "Hey, Papa, kya ho raha hai? Aag lag gaya." And the whole audience is packed out, and everybody's out of the auditorium, and we are dancing, because that's like we put one month of rehearsals behind it. We can't let it go. So we are like, okay, continue. And suddenly heads peeping in, and slowly they start walking into the auditorium, and then it was a big hit, of course, but that initial 2 minutes were like chaos totally. So I mean, lots of things happened in college, robbing, putting little time bombs, you put a little agarbatti, and you put a little rassi bomb bolte hain usko, the little rope thing. You tie it to the agarbatti and wait for it, and you go in. It's exam time, and after about 5 minutes, by the time the agarbatti reaches there, and it's like, and there's a huge blast in the corridors because it's resounding, and copying, where you use the cistern, which is so you put a plastic book in a plastic, put it in the cistern in the water, and then in the middle of the exam.
It sounds as if childhood, school, and college were an absolute bore.
They were to some extent, yes, but these are all part of growing up, I suppose. We used to devise new ways how to copy, those amazing.
But you also found a very clever way of actually making things that you enjoyed part of a professional career, because you took dance seriously. You went to America and taught yourself how to break dance because of an experience on 42nd Street.
Yeah, I mean, taught me I just looked at these little kids dancing, and there was my brother and myself, and my dad, and we just gone there. It was way back in 82, 81. And we saw these two kids dancing, and we were saying, what the hell is he doing? I can't see. He's like gliding. So we just stood there for about 45 minutes, and I gave him about $10 when that. So that $10 is a big thing out there. Nobody gives like a few cents. And we came back, and 83 was the first time I think in India, anybody ever saw break dance on the Indian stage. So my brother and me, and on college, we just set this whole thing up, and it's a part mime kind of thing, gloves, white gloves, umbrella, walking back, front ring, and doing some stunts, and so it was a huge hit. And then I went on to win this dance competition, All India, and after that, I was approached for the film.
And that's when Subhash Ghai saw you. Tell me, what happened next?
I got a call from his office saying, do you have something which we can see as a tape or something? So I had this contest which I had won. I sent them the tape, and they said, no, we'd like to meet you. I said, okay. So I went and met Mr. Ghai, and he spoke to me for about half an hour. I said, okay, would you like to do this film? This is Anil Kapoor, there's Javed Akhtar, there's NNCP producing it, I'm directing it. So I said, okay, give me a day. I mean, I never immediately say, because I like to think it over as far as these things are concerned. Then I went back and I asked my dad. He said, the team is nice, they're a good team, good producers, so go ahead. it's not the lead, it's not the main role, but it's a villain, so...
Mary Jung was the movie that followed. In fact, you did several movies. And yet the funny thing is, despite all your talent, your skill, your mimicry, the films never took off, your career never took off.
Yeah,
What do you think went wrong?
There's a lot of film industry. When I came in, I was totally unprepared. As I said again, I didn't have any intentions. There was no aims, and there was no.
It just happened.
Yeah, it just happened. It was not planned. Ambition. I was not an ambitious person. It just happened, and I took it up, and I didn't realize that a lot of things we planned the way you come, because they stamp you. It's great. It's the biggest post office in the film industry, Hindi. Thappa laga dete, stamped.
Do you think you chose the wrong roles and got the wrong stamp?
Initially, yes, because I was launched by Subhash Ghai, who was one of the big makers around then, and NCT big production. And then you are coming as a villain, that too not the main villain, you are playing the villain's son. Of course, you came in as a dancing kind of villain, and they kind of freaked out on your dancing, and the audiences loved you, what you did. But again, the industry looked upon it, so we'll give him another villain ka beta or villain ka bhai role, and which I didn't take up. Then I got some lead roles, which were again not solo leads. They were always with other people, like, you know, Amir ke saath kuch ho gaya. Then
many people say that his talent was too quick. It happened too early. Bollywood wasn't ready. Bollywood wasn't prepared. You were 10 years too early.
Yeah, some of my colleagues have said that, and in fact, Shah Rukh said that somewhere in one of his interviews. I can't say it's not that. It's just that you have to be packaged, marketed. It's beyond acting today. It's 20% talent. The rest is marketing, packaging, projection, PR. So, maine PR nahi kiya.
But the funny thing is, you know, whether you did PR or not, you may have been 10 years too early for Bollywood, but you were bang on time for Indian television. Let's take a break there. I want in part 2 to talk about the incredible career, the incredible image that you created on the TV screen. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Stick with us. Welcome back. My guest is the legendary Javed Jafferi. Now, it was in 1994 with Channel V and the OI program that you really hit the big time. How did it happen?
It was actually Flashback. OI was a program they were testing for, and I had just auditioned, kind of, they were doing a scratch film, scratch version. So one producer, Rakesh Mehra, was doing this, and I was, you know, this term OI, that's how it came about, because I said, yeah, everybody goes, yo, all right, all these guys in the grunge outfits and those characters on television, the host of each year, you know, all right, guys, yo. I said, yo, kyun karne ka? Yo nahi karenge, hum ulta karenge, OI kar denge, because very Indian, you know. So you reverse yo, it goes OI, and OI is a very Indian word. OI, very Delhi North, you know, samne OI, and OI yun ho gaya. So OI is very balle kind of thing. So, you know, instead of going here, you go here, OI. So that's how, and finally the show went somewhere else, but the word was, that stuck, OA, and it came on. Then Flashback happened in '94. I don't know, I was getting quite frustrated with the films because they were not exactly going the way I wanted them to go, and that's the stage. Really, lots of things happened around then, because I got married, and things just turned around. I got married and I went for Hajj, and I took my parents for Hajj, and I got back and everything, just this television thing happened. So I suppose that was a very crucial stage for...
Apparently you walked into the channel producers dressed very oddly, and they almost did a double take when they saw you.
Yeah, I was wearing a Pathani salwar kameez, a nice big one with a safa around my head, because I'd come back from Hajj and I had really short hair, and I had these 2 earrings, and I spoke their language, and and they said, what's this guy all about? He's dressed up like, you know, somebody coming from Kurdistan or whatever, and okay, fine, he's got 2 earrings, so he's cool, not bad. So we just took it from there, and the show developed, and there was Rakesh Sharma, a person there. So they had originally planned Flashback to be a retro kind of a show, but of course, keeping a bit of humor and being it more in Hindi.
You did something more than that. You simply turned it on its head, because you made it the vehicle to popularize English.
Yeah, and because I also did that, plus at the same time, because I incorporated, because it's a film-based show, I try to incorporate a lot of film actors into it, without saying, okay, now I'm going to do a Dharmender, or now I'm going to do a Sanjay Dutt, or now I'm going to do Ajit. We just led into it, like, you know, baat karte karte hum isme kafi intrigued ho gaye. So this kind of putting little words in between, कि मन्ना दा ने ऐसा सोचा कि उनके ट्यून्स जो थे वो काफी पॉपुलर हो जाएंगे, लेकिन मन्ना डे अ डे, so just take off on that suddenly, and suddenly you talk about कि उन्होंने ये शायद नहीं सोचा था कि हिंदुस्तान के लोगों को 2 चीजों से बहुत लगाव है, एक है माँ, दूसरी है सिनेमा. लेकिन इस बारे में हम बाद में बात करेंगे, because cinema आई. So this is the kind of style I incorporated, where you don't say, just go into characters and get out of it. It worked, and people liked it, and this break link kind of business, going into different kind of break links, and it just worked. It was a great show.
But was it all just put together on the floor? Was it spontaneous?
I'll tell you, it was a great team also. At the same time, there was a lot of work initially where I worked with the writer. There was Galashmaki, there was Manu Chopra, who was the writer, who I definitely like to mention because we worked a lot together. There was Arshad Sayyed, another writer, Shahid, another director. This was some of the best team.
So you made it look effortless, but actually there was a lot of planning.
Yeah, there was research. Imtiaz was a research guy. He worked a lot on
So what about English? I mean, it's a bizarre and appealing way of speaking the language. How did you hit upon this idea?
It was a regular, first I thought I can't speak with an American or a Canadian accent. All right, guys, I can't do that. Let's see what the song, Sunil Shetty coming on next. I mean, come on, I can't do that. So I said, this is our accent. This is how I speak English. Fine, whatever it is. This is the way Indians speak English, and let's keep to that. और हिंदी mix कर देंगे उसमें बात करते करते उसमें एक inject कर देंगे हिंदी को ज़रा. So of course वो ज़रा जनता is.
So English in a real sense is the way Javed Jafferi speaks. A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little bit of this, a little more of that.
So what about Time X Time Pass, which many people consider perhaps the greatest show that you did? I mean, it was a collection of different characters. Yeah. Abdul Katpi's Queenie Singh, Vengeance V. Rappert. Who created them?
Totally myself, because I just worked with Manu and I just worked on the names with him. But I said, these are the people I do well. And Manu and me just sat down and and we just said, let's work out the names for these people. So we worked out these names like Cafe Azmi and Hip Hop Hingorani and things like that. And I worked on the characterization, right from what he would wear to what he would look like and what he would say, and then it just,
were these people that you'd seen, were they types that you were?
No, in fact, I tried to break that. This is a very interesting point. I never got into major get-ups. I just did a bit of maybe a mustache or a mole here, that's it. Because the point was, the whole beginning was, ek tha pauda, usme se nikle 14. And the 14 brothers are there. And they are lost in Mela restaurant mein kho gaye the bachpan mein 20 saal pehle, and now ab mile hain. So, and the characters, just the characterizations, how they are. Like Abdul Katpi is brought up somewhere as a Kasai, Delhi mein. So I remember the Delhi walas. वो जो जम्मू मस्जिद के सामने फिरते हैं. अबे बिस्ते बोल लिया तू कहाँ पे जा पैर बाद में रैप चलाऊंगा. अबे टकरे घूमता फिरेगा छीड़ा बन के. अबे कहाँ उठा जा टिक्का बोटी का दूसरी. So this is I heard it over there and I picked it up. My father had also seen it, so I picked it up from my father. In fact, this one, and there was this other great Queenie Singh, which was, of course, I observed a lot of our designers, makeup artists. They tend to have these gestures. So I just picked it from the hi, hello ji, hello, te strawberry jello, hanji. So it's just a little bit. You're not going over the top, but it's that and
just suggestive.
Yeah, a lot of these. So hip hop Hingorani is this Bapi Larry syndrome. He loves eating Bapi Larry's God. Ding 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 ding. Ade baba yo. It's his whole voices are different.
Again, TV gave you such great opportunities, and it gave you a chance to be yourself and have a ball. But did it stretch you? Did it fulfill you? Because after about 4 or 5 years in the 97, 98 period, you gave it up.
No, I gave it up in about 99. We did Flashback. I think it was one of the longest running solo blue screen show, because just a blue screen show, no outdoors, no nothing, just a man standing against a blue screen and holding for 4 years. I think it was then, a lot of people had mentioned that it was quite an achievement and still was rated on a higher side, and we went off on a good note. We didn't go down.
Was that your concern? I don't want to carry on before it starts going sour.
Because I would like to feel it myself before they feel it. I would like to say, look boss, now it's not happening, before they can feel it. So that sensibility you should have. Don't drag it, don't push it on them.
You thought it was going on just a little bit too long and you wanted to get out.
Flashback could have gone on, but the channel kind of just disrupted and don't know what happened to it. And I probably was lucky to get out at the right time, because then it just, I don't know what happened, things didn't work after that.
But in the last couple of years, you seem to have gone back to films, and very different, challenging ones. Fire, Sam and Me, even a French movie, Hanuman.
Yeah.
Are you going to now re-emerge as a serious actor?
No, I believe totally in entertainment, whether it's, as an actor, yes, you'd like to do various things, but primarily I like entertaining. I call myself an entertainer. I'm not a VJ, a host, an actor, a dancer. I'm an entertainer. So whether I entertain by dancing or singing or acting or whatever, but I like that, and I feel...
You're open to it all?
No, I feel it's a great honor to be able to entertain, and because there's so much of pain and there's so much of everything around.
But the interesting thing is you keep trying to do new things. You did a rap number for Bombay Boys 2 years ago.
I was one of the first people in India to do rap. That was way back in even in Meri Jung, there was a little bit in between, Beat 3, the king of the beat. The first
but the Bombay one became really quite popular.
That was, because that was...
Did you write it as well?
Yeah, I co-wrote it. I mean, it was my concept and I wrote it, but I had another friend, Kiran, who kind of wrote it with me, so we did it together.
How does it go?
See, the initial part is like Mumbai, ekdam danger place, where you survive, you've got the pace, you've got to be fast, you've got to be teaz, you've got to be shana to win the race. Chota chota matter bane police case, bada bada lafda, gul without trace, ghabrane ka nahi, give it in the pace. So kya bolta hai? Haan, jaisa desh, waisa base. So it's that attitude, it's an attitude song, because the whole, especially the chorus, which is खाने का, पीने का, मरने का, जीने का, चलने का, फिरने का, उठने का, गिरने का, टेंशन नहीं लेने का, भाई से पूछने का, कैसा काय बड़ा है, I am Mumbai. And this is a very Marathi phrase, कैसा काय बड़ा है, how are you, you know. So we just put it together. Why? It's an attitude song. I just saw Nasir and I said, let's make a song on this guy. And Mumbai, the word, because at that time there was a lot of crime happening and people were very fed up, and you know, the police were fed up. And I said, okay, why? It's not Mumbai, it's Mumbai. So let's make a song.
But you know, the funny thing is, one sees you and laughs with you, jokes with you, but there's a very serious side to you as well, isn't there, Javed? You have some very strong views on things like gambling, drinking.
Very serious, yeah.
But seriously, you have some very strong views on things like gambling, drinking, smoking, don't you?
Yeah, I do, because probably somewhere down the line it did affect me in my family. My father went through that phase, and I suppose it was a repercussion on me, and it got embedded somewhere in my subconscious, and I didn't like it. I didn't like what was happening in the house. I didn't like what was happening in the family. You know, fights, tension, you're always on edge, and I was a very sensitive child. But somehow it affected me, and I mean, he got out of that phase, fine, but it left its mark on me, and that's why
You're completely against drinking, gambling, smoking.
Drinking, smoking, gambling, the three territories, you know, even, casual sex, I've never ever...
So underneath this fun-loving exterior is actually a man of very strong principles.
Yeah, but sometimes I get my wife's principles, but it's not that, no, I do have, I'm not a saint, and fair enough, I've done my little musty around, I've had my weaknesses, fine.
But there are limits you won't cross.
Yes, there are limits, and certain territories I don't. In fact, I don't even, if they ask me to do some advertising campaign or to endorse a product like any alcohol product or any tobacco products, I refuse them.
But Javed, keep the principles, but keep us laughing as well. Thank you for a wonderful interview.
Thanks, Karan. Thanks. Nice talking to you too. You're still going okay. I like the grey hairs actually. It's nice. Gives a really intelligent look. And the grey suit and the grey hair.